You got me wanting to want you, but I don't think you like me like that.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Horchata Mamita back for another video. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not, welcome back. Today we're gonna talk about a very important topic. Learning how to transform your pain into purpose / power. At the basis of it basically is this understanding of experience aren't actually good or bad, they just are. And I think we create meaning of everything, obviously, so we can have a better sense of control and how to operate in this world. Like, I know that fire is dangerous, is bad, right? Touching fire is bad. It's a bad experience. Why? Because the outcome is bad. You get burned if you touch fire. I think just like that, you associate meaning to different experiences. If I do such and such, then the result is harmful. It could be harmful. So it's therefore bad. I think that same logic could generally be applied to life experiences. So essentially, that's what we do with painful experiences, right? We tend to really associate them with being bad. And so we do this out of protection, obviously. Categorizing things, it's a form of survival, right? It helps us operate in this world in a much simpler way because we know what we're getting into. That's how we function, right? I think we've evolved over time, but like we function in a way where we're trying to survive, right? Generally, it's good to like try to break those habits of like being in survival mode and living your life, right? Understanding nuance, understanding discernment. But yeah, when we have painful experiences, like generally it's very easy to think, okay, like they're painful, so they're bad. I was in this accident, so that was a bad experience. But the point of this video is to speak to the fact that just because something bad happened does not mean bad. Something that caused harm and something that was painful happened, and just because it had that effect on you does not mean that it was simply bad or that it was good for nothing. And I'm not saying that if it was our choice that, you know, we would just walk into it again, right? Obviously, no. If we had the choice, we probably wouldn't want to go through that painful experience again, naturally, unless you're sick and masochistic and you know what I'm saying? Generally, I think we could all agree that we would probably not choose to go through that thing again. But I think it's important to know that there is power in experiencing certain things in your life, which is, as I always say, it's either a lesson or it's a blessing. It ain't even gotta be like a paradigm. It can be both. There's lessons and blessings in experiences. The good thing can be a message. It could be, hey, don't play with fire again. Like, hey, make sure when you're handling this hot thing, you do it with caution, you know, like if you can't avoid the thing completely. And so I think the same thing can be applied with experiences. Like you maybe went through a heartbreak, like you went through a breakup. And obviously it's very painful because you're grieving that person, you're grieving the relationship. You're like finding yourself again after that relationship because it ultimately became a big part of your identity naturally. And obviously when there's toxic situations and certain circumstances make it take up more of your identity, you have to learn to redefine yourself in that way. And so I think it's important to acknowledge that, yeah, all these things exist, but also there's opportunity in that. Like there is opportunity in being able to find yourself again, in redefining yourself, you know, like there's a rebirth that comes out of every, not to sound cliche, but like every death. Like, yeah, maybe like the old you feels like it's gone. Maybe like the relationship feels like it's gone. The part of you that was a girlfriend, like that's gone when it comes to that relationship. But like a new you is reborn at the same time. And there's beauty in that. And like you have power in like redefining like who you are in that process and rediscovering that too. And so I think that can be applied to like everything. Like, yeah, you experience something bad, something painful, something where you're forced to grieve something that meant something to you. And I think there's also beauty in understanding that if you are grieving, then there is something meaningful that you did have at some point, and you then can have it again, you know, maybe in a different form, but like Maybe that relationship is gone, but now there's room for a different relationship to come into your life to replenish or like give you the things that maybe that other relationship didn't offer you, you know? So I feel like perspective is like really important in this, and just understanding that like experiences, including painful experiences, they teach you something if you allow them to. So there's choice there. And I think understanding your agency when you're going through things is really important, because it is easy to think that, okay, we're taking a back seat. Like, obviously we are. Like, someone else is, I believe, obviously, we all have different religious beliefs, but someone else is steering the ship. Someone else has control. But also, we have agency in deciding, okay, these things are presented to us. How are we going to respond? No, you don't have control over everything that happens in your life, but you do have absolute control in how you're going to respond or react to this thing. And understanding that power, I think, is really important in like reclaiming, like, just again, that sense of agency that you might feel like was lost because of these things that felt like they were out of your control happening to you. So I think when things happen, like, you have a choice. You have the choice to either be consumed by this thing, to sit in the negativity of it, of like victimhood basically, and think like, okay, like shitty things happen to me. I deserve, you know, all the beliefs that come up. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Maybe I deserve pain. Maybe I deserve suffering. Maybe it happened because, you know, I'm destined for suffering. I'm destined for failure. I don't deserve good things. Like all these negative things sitting in your sadness and just like darkness. Or you can learn from it and you can basically use it as an opportunity to grow, as an opportunity to sharpen some skills, or basically shift your perspective and have more wisdom and just, again, discernment moving forward when you face similar things in the future. And so even though things happen, you have the ability to utilize those experiences to help shape you and to help basically like shape your future and add it kind of like as like a tool to your toolbox for the future. And so that's all to say that our responses and our reactions hold our power, right? We can either react, which the way that I would define that is when your feelings control your behavior, versus you responding, which is your behavior controls your feelings. It's okay to have feelings. They're natural. Everyone has feelings. The thing about it though is having them, but using them with intention, I think is like the key. And again, I think that's really what distinguishes like a reaction versus a response to a situation. Like, what is in control right now? Is it my feeling? I'm feeling angry. Is my anger controlling the situation and my response to the situation? Is my sadness controlling it? Follow-up question, how long is it going to control it for? It's okay for it to like maybe jump out for a second, like, because you're feeling it. You should definitely give yourself the space in the room to grieve, to be sad, to be angry, to do all these things, because they're natural feelings. And I think it probably makes it worse when you suppress it, honestly. Like, it's probably going to be, you're going to be take a time bomb if you just don't give it the space to like be released. But again, doing it with intention, maybe even catching yourself like, oh, I was angry for a second, but it'll be okay. You know, just take a deep breath, do the things that I need to do to like ground myself, to level myself, and then revisit the situation, you know? I think that's like the main thing, is just not letting those feelings really like determine your response to everything. And I think a level of that is like making sure that it is a priority to reflect and think about like how you are feeling. Think about like where your headspace is, so that you can respond with more intentionality and like understand what's motivating your behavior, and having a sense of agency over what is motivating your behavior. If you're just constantly like a ticking time bomb and it's like something happens, explosion, something else happens, explosion, at a certain point it's like that's just your character, you know? And so I think we all as humans, we experience so many things that it's so important to really know ourselves and know what grounds us, because there will be things that are constantly thrown our way that make us feel like, you know, like discombobulated, like we lost our sense of footing. That's why it's important to understand yourself and to, again, take that time with yourself. And a lot of people don't want to do it. And that's the fact of the matter. A lot of people do not want to be alone with themselves, basically in solitude, because that forces them to confront themselves and to think about these things a bit more. It is important to do that. Just because, like I've mentioned before in my other videos, just because it is difficult does not mean, or uncomfortable does not mean that it's bad. If anything, it means it's more necessary. Because what is more uncomfortable, let's talk about it, is that we're sitting with your thoughts and feelings and processing them. I feel like I be preaching to myself, like I be needing a moment, because like shit, I need to work on that. But like, what's harder, like sitting with your thoughts in solitude, in reflection, or realizing that you're just responding on autopilot? Like, again, you're reacting to everything. You're on autopilot. You feel like you have no control over any of your behavior, and you're regretting, like, oh, you're just not making good decisions. I think we all know the answer to that, babes. So yeah, that reflection time is like super important, and asking yourself, like, how could this experience really help shape you? How can it make you a better person? How could it make you, move you closer to the person that you want to be and to your purpose, essentially? And even beyond that, like once you think about that a bit more, then you can, I think, in thinking about your purpose, like think about, how could this experience really help me like connect with others who might go through something similar? How can it also help me create a lasting impact with someone else? Like, for example, like maybe being bullied when you're younger about like your acne or something, like maybe skincare, or maybe like just like your self-love journey in that way, like when it comes to beauty, and adding that to the space, that could be like a way that you could contribute and like connect with other people, because you know what it's like to deal with insecurities when it comes to that, and understand, you know, the true meaning of, again, confidence as it relates to like beauty, you know, like things like that. I think like could be really helpful to think about. And again, that's what bridges a gap in terms of like, there's other people that also have maybe a similar story. And like, even though this thing was so painful for me, it's hard to confront, there's something beautiful that can come out of it, you know, for me, but also beyond me, in terms of I'm actually making a difference in this world because of the experience that I went through. Like, it, again, has shaped me, has added a layer to my life that has strengthened my sense of individuality and my story and like my impact in this world. Not on some like, oh, I'm gonna save the world type shit, but like, even if you can make somebody's day like a little bit better, in my opinion, that's a lot. That's a lot. Like vulnerability, I think has so much power in it, and like making people feel seen and heard, because a lot of people don't want to talk about these things. So like, I think really confronting and accepting and embracing those things that really make you you, even if they're difficult, that's powerful, you know? And so there's some other questions that you could really like ask yourself like in the process, which is like, okay, this thing happened to me, but like, what was born or what transformed in me because of this experience? I just use like the acne thing as an example, but like maybe not feeling like for me, COVID, for example, that was a really hard time. Like it really was. And I'm sure it was for like a lot of people, like culturally, it was a difficult time. There was a lot of grief, but what really was reborn out of that? And I think there's a lot that was reborn. And so even though in some ways I'm like, oh, I wonder what it would have been like if COVID didn't happen, you know, during my college senior spring, there's also that question of like, what would have life look like if that didn't happen? Who would I be? There was a sense of me losing myself, a sense of rebirth then, me, again, redefining myself then. Because I had to ask myself again, what are the things that actually matter? Like literally, it's so hard to even get up every day wondering if am I gonna make it another day, or like am I literally gonna get COVID? Like, and especially being like immunocompromised, like it was literally life or death. It was life or death every single day. And so asking myself like, okay, what's really important? Family, like friends, relationships, like that's super important. Me like really being in tune with the arts during that time, I feel like that really like fueled that, because it's like lockdown, quarantine. What was I doing? I was doing my makeup all the time. Like that was my me time. That was my form of escape. That was my form of coping with everything that was happening. And so that really shaped me. Like Those things already kind of existed in me, but there was room during that time to reflect, to be still. There are times where, again, I lost myself 100%. And I'm putting this all out there because, like, this is just real. When shit is going left in the world, it's hard not to, right? Like, you're losing your fucking mind, especially when, again, when you're grieving so much and you're operating in fear, almost survival. It's literally what it is. But there's a lot of like blessings that come in that, which is like, again, a chance for stillness, a chance to really like learn to care for the world, like the things that were happening in terms of like the racial issues. Like, basically there were good things that came out of that, and I think that really shaped me as a person, that shaped my purpose. I think I really like sat with myself and thought about what mattered to me. I think I had to lose myself to refine myself, to think about what isn't me. Let's not engage in that anymore. And it really brought me closer, I think, to like the people around me, because like it really put things into perspective. Like, shit is not promised. And I knew this before, but it's different when there's a pandemic, to put it quite frankly. Like, I don't think that it can get any more clear that things are temporary and that life is literally not promised to you. So I think even though there was like a form of like vacancy, like an emptiness, or, you know, a void that could be caused because of like these experiences, these painful experiences, there's also things that like supplement your life from this experience. An added perspective, like I said, like a sense of gratitude, maybe love, maybe grit, learning the value of things, learning how to problem solve, and like really adding to your sense of perseverance, basically. And so it's also important to kind of ask yourself, like, what was challenged by the situation? Maybe like some beliefs, maybe some thoughts. What felt lost? And was it actually lost? Maybe there have been things that were lost, but in practicing discernment, like maybe some things felt like they were lost, but like maybe they temporarily were just stripped from you. And like, how can you regain that thing? You know what I'm saying? Maybe there's other ways that you, even though you lost that thing, like you also learned ways to regain it and like reclaim it, basically. So at the end of the day, like, that's all to say, y'all, that as mentioned before, experiences really do shape and like influence your story, and it helps you gain a sense of relatability to certain people who might have experienced something similar. And so there's strength in that, and also being able to be vulnerable and like resilient and having an added perspective in life, because that's really like being able to connect to other people. That's a human thing. That is what makes life worth living, quite frankly, for me at least. Like, maybe some people don't care for that. I personally think everyone needs a level of connection and relatability. And so putting things into perspective and like understanding that experiences do shape you as a person, like they're what makes you literally you. And like their means of creating community, I think, allow you to reclaim that power that might feel like it has been lost through an experience. Like, imagine like experiencing things and attaching no meaning to the thing. Who would you be? Like, what's the point of experiencing things then? Where we'd be doing it passively. I feel like there's like a philosophical quote that speaks to that, but like there's power in experience, guys. There's power in perspective. And I think it's important to accept, embrace, and release the feelings that come with different experiences, because again, that's what makes us us, and that's what connects us all. So yeah, I feel like I spit a lot out at you guys featuring on a Thursday, but I hope you guys related to some of these things. I hope it resonated with you. I hope it was insightful. I hope you guys can apply it in your lives. Anyways, that being said, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you like this video. Let me know if you want to see similar content like this, and I will catch you guys for the next one. Bye.
I might as well get on with it and move on to the next. But if we're being real, that's just not my style.